Good morning, children. How are you all? I hope that you all are doing good and safe at home. Continue to be safe. Last week we learned History Unit 1, the medieval of India. Then I think you all understood the lesson, and I have given some hard words and objectives and question answer. Be thorough with this question answer and hard words. This week we are going to see same History Unit 2, the lesson entitled as Emergence of New Kingdoms in North India. Let's see some of the objectives of this lesson. To acquire knowledge about the kingdoms of Rajput and their counterpart in North India, and then to assess the contributions of Rajput and Palas to Indian culture, and then we are going to learn about the early military expeditions of Arabs and Turks. Here we'll see some of the nutshell of this lesson. First one, introduction. Origin of Rajputs. Below origin of Rajput, let's see Pratiharas, Palas, Dharmapala, Mahipala, and then about the Chauhans. And then we'll see about the contribution of Rajput to art and architecture. Below the Rajput art and architecture, we'll see art, architecture, and about the temple of Ossian. And then contribution of Palas to culture. And then we come to the advent of Islam. Below advent of Islam, we are going to see about the Arab conquest of Sindh and its impact. Below that, we are going to see Muhammad of Ghazni and Muhammad of Ghori, and then at last we will see about the battle of Tarain, and we will see the summary of this lesson. Now let's go to the lesson, children. Rajput states formed a collective entity that was called Rajputana. Chittor was prominent and had become the rallying point for all Rajput clans. The victory of Rana of Chittor over Malwa, the Jayastamba, the Tower of Victory, was built in Chittor. The Pratiharas and the Palas had established their powerful kingdoms in western India and in eastern India respectively. But by the 9th century, the Pratihara dynasty called itself the sovereigns of Rajasthan and Kannauj. The decline of Pratihara kingdom led to the rise of Palas in Bengal and Chauhans in northwestern India. Here we see the picture of Gandharya temple. It is the largest and tallest temple and also a very beautiful Hindu temple. It was preserved from the period of medieval. And here we see the picture of Jayastamba in commemoration of the victory of Rana of Chittor over Malwa. The Jayastamba, the Tower of Victory, was built. Now we will see about the origin of Rajputs. The word Rajput is derived from the Sanskrit word Rajputra, which means scion of a royal blood. After the death of Harsha in AD 647, various Rajput clans established kingdoms in different parts of northern and central India. The three principal houses are the Surya Vamsi, that means the rock of the sun. Then we see the Chandra Vamsi, which means the rock of the moon, and the Agni Kula, that means rock of fire god. Chandelas of Bundelkhand were prominent. Tomaras were ruling in the Haryana region, but they were overthrown by the Chauhans in the 12th century. Four claimed a special status: the Pratiharas, the Chauhans, the Chalukyas are known as Cholankis, and the Paramaras of Pavas. All the four clans were of the Agnikula origin. Already I told what is Agnikula origin. That is, Agnikula means the race of fire god. Here we see the North Indian kingdom, that is India in the period AD 800 to 1200. In the origin of Rajputs, these Rajputs, how they conquered all this country. You can see so many countries conquered by this Rajputs. Here are some of the places. Now we'll just see the map and I will be teaching about this. First we'll see Pratiharas. The Pratiharas or Gujarat Pratiharas, one of the four prominent clans of the Rajputs. Harichandra laid the foundation of the Gujarat dynasty. Nagapata I was the first and the prominent ruler of Pratiharas. In the 8th century, he ruled over Roch and Jodhpur and extended his dominion up to Gwalior. He was succeeded by Vatsaraja, who decided to dominate the whole of North India. His attempt to control over Kannauj brought him into conflict with the Pala ruler Dharmapala. There was a prolonged Tibetan struggle between the Gujarat Pratiharas of Malwa, the Rashtrakutas of Deccan, and the Palas of Bengal, as each one of them wanted to establish their supremacy over the fertile region of Kannauj. In the process, all the three powers were weakened. Vastaraja's successors, Nagapata II. We saw about the Nagapata I. Now we see Nagapata II, and the Ramdra did not do anything impressively. So next we see Mihira Poja or Poja, son of Rambhadra. Within a few years of his success, succeeded in consolidating the power of the Pratiharas. As a strong ruler, Poja was able to maintain peace in his kingdom. The Arab was firmly tackled by him. After Poja, the Pratihara Empire continued its full glory for nearly a century. Having successfully resisted the Arabs, the Pratiharas turned their attention towards the east, and by the end of millennium, they ruled over a large part of Rajasthan and Malwa. They also held Kannauj for some time. The Rajputs fought each other endlessly in the 11th and 12th centuries. Taking advantage of these internal quarrels, many local kings succeeded in making themselves independent. These are some of the points of this map, North India kingdom, how the Rajputs ruled these places. Here we see the picture of Vikramashila monastery. Yes, this monastery was a great patron of Buddhism. He founded, who that means the Dharmapala's son was founded Vikramashila monastery, which became a great center of Buddhist learning. Gopala, who founded the Pala dynasty, did not have royal antecedent. He was elected by the people for his superior capabilities. During his reign from 750 to 770, Dharmapala, his son, made the Pala kingdom a powerful force in northern India politics. Dharmapala was succeeded by his son Devapala, who extended Pala controlled eastwards into Kamarthupa in Assam. Mahipala I was the most powerful ruler of the Pala dynasty. He is called the founder of the second Pala dynasty. He constructed and repaired a large number of religious buildings at Panaras, Sarnath and Nalanda. Next we see about the Chauhans. The Chauhans ruled between AD 956 and 1192 over the eastern part of present day Rajasthan, establishing their capital at Sakampari. Here we see the picture of Prithviraj Raso who, wrote the long epic poem. Just I wanted to say what the poem says. The story goes like this. The daughter of the king of Kanauj was to marry a Suyamvara, that is, the bride choosing the bridegroom of her choice. Suyamvara means the bride choosing the bridegroom of her choice. Was held to enable her to choose her husband. But she was in love with Prithviraj and decided to marry him. Prithviraj was the enemy of her father. In order to insult him, the king of Kanauj had not only denied him an invitation but had placed a statue of Prithviraj as doorkeeper at the entrance to his court. To the shock of everyone assembled, the princess rejected the prince's present and garlanded the statue of Prithviraj, indicating her choice. Prithviraj, who had been hiding in the jumped in and rode away with the princess in a horse. Later, both of them were married. Yes, this is the story of the. He wrote, the story was written as a poem by Prithviraj Raso. Next, we are going to see about Rajput contributions of art and architecture. Now, let's see the art. Yes, in Rajasthan art we will see the Rajasthani style of painting. Rajput courts were centers and culture where literature, music, dance, paintings, fine arts and sculpture flourished. A specific style of Rajput painting, often focusing on religious themes, emerged at Rajput courts. Their style of painting is called Rajasthani. The Rajasthani style of paintings can be seen at Bikaner, Jodhpur, Mewar, Jaisalmer. All these paintings are in Rajasthan. Now let's see the architecture of this Rajputs. Now we saw the art of this Rajasthan. Now we are going to see the architecture of this Rajput. The Rajputs were great builders. The examples of domestic architecture of the Rajputs are the palaces, then fort. So many palaces and forts are there in the Rajput architecture. Many of the Rajput cities and palaces stand among the hills in the fort or by the side of the beautiful artificial lakes. This is the lake palace. It is in the water is surrounded and center we can see the beautiful lake in Udaipur. Next we see the Jaipur Amber Fort. Yes, it is also one of the architecture of this Rajput. The temple of Gajwara. Okay children, this is the temple of Ozian. Okay, there are 16 Hindu and Jain temples at Ossian, which is 32 miles away from Jodhpur. The Jain temple at Mount Abu has a white marble hall and a center dome of 11 concentric rings and richly carved vaulted ceiling and pillars. During this Rajput art and architecture, here we will be celebrating Rakshat Bandhar. You know who brought this Rakshat Bandhar festival? This is our Rabindranath Tagore. Okay, the Rakshat Bandhar, the tradition of this Rajput is attributed to Rajputs. Okay, it is a festival that celebrated brotherhood and love. It is believed that if a woman ties a rakhi around the wrist of a male members, it means they are treating them like brothers. Such men are placed under an obligation to protect them. Rabindranath Tagore started a mass Raksha Bandhan festival during the petition of Bengal in 1905, in which he encouraged Hindu and Muslim women to tie a rakhi on men from the other community and make them their brothers. The exercise was designed to counter British efforts to create a divide between Hindus and Muslims. Next, we'll see the contribution of Palas to culture. They were generous patrons of Buddhist temple and the famous universities of Nalanda and Vikramasila. It was through their missionaries that Buddhism was established in Tibet. The Palas also maintained cordial relations with the Hindus and Buddhists. Pala Arctic style flourished in present day states of Bihar and West Bengal and also in present day Bangladesh. It was chiefly represented by bronze sculpture and palm leaf painting, celebrating the Buddha and other divinities. The Pala bronze sculptures from this area played an important part in the spread of Indian culture in the Southeast Asia. Now we will see about the advent of Islam. Islam as a religious faith originated at Mecca in Arabia. The founder of Islam was Prophet Muhammad. The followers of Islam are called Muslims. And Islamic states, especially the one ruled by a single religious and political leader, was known as Caliphate. Caliph means a representative of the Prophet Muhammad. Two early caliphates were Umayyads and the Abbasids. Both of the Umayyads and the Abbasids expanded their rule separately by their conquest and by preaching the principles of Islam. In 8th century India, the Arab presence appeared in the form of Muslim army that conquered the Sindh, but their future expansion was made impossible by the kings of Gangetic Plains and the Deccan. By the end of the 9th century, with the decline of the Abbasid Caliphate, the Arab garrisons and in India and elsewhere threw off Caliph's control and began to rule independently. Okay, under the advent of Islam, we see about the Arab conquest of Sindh and its impact. In AD 1712, Muhammad bin Qasim, who was the commander of the Umayyad kingdom, invaded Sindh. Qasim defeated Dahir, the ruler of Sindh, and killed him in the battle. The capital of Sindh, Haror, was captured. Qasim extended his conquest further into Multan. He organized the administration of Sindh. The people of Sindh were given the status of protected subjects. There was no interference in the lives and religions of the people. The Arab scholars visited Sindh and studied many Indian literary works. They translated many Sanskrit books on astronomy, philosophy, mathematics, and medicine into Arabic. They learnt the numeral 0 to 9 from India. Until then, the people in the West did not know the use of zero. Through the Arabs, Europe gained more knowledge in mathematics. The importance of zero was learnt by them from India. It is believed that the people in the West and the Arabs learnt the game of chess only from the Indians. This is about the advent of the Muslim. Below that, we learnt about Arab conquest and Sindh and its impact. Now we are going to see about the Somnath temple of Muhammad Ghazni. These two are the more important person in Muhammad, that is advent of the Islam. The Somnath temple is a tourist spot of the Gujarat. Okay, this temple was in the period of Muhammad Ghazni from AD 1997, that is 997 to 1030. Muhammad is said to have conducted 17 raids into India. At that time, North India was divided into number of small kingdoms. The other important kingdoms were Kannauj, Gujarat, Kashmir, Nepal, Malwa, and Bundelkhand. The initial raids were against the Sashi kingdom. King Jaipala was defeated in 1001. Anandapala fought against Muhammad but was defeated in the Battle of Vaihin near Peshawar in 1008. The subsequent raids of Muhammad into India were aimed at plundering the rich temples and cities of North India. In 1011, he raided Naharkot in Punjab hills and Taneshwar near Delhi. In 1018, Muhammad plundered the holy city of Mathura. He also attacked Kannauj. Placed in Gujarat in 1024 AD, Muhammad marched from Multan across Rajputana and defeated the Solanki king Bhima Devi I, and he died in 1030 AD. Next, we are going to see about the Muhammad of Ghori. He ruled from 1149 to 1206. Muhammad of Ghori or Muhammad Ghor started as a vassal of Ghazni but became independent after the death of Muhammad. Taking advantage of the decline of the Hassanid Empire, Muhammad Ghori brought Ghazni under his control. Muhammad turned his attention to India. He wanted to extend his empire by conquering India. In 1175, Muhammad captured Multan. In 1186, he attacked Punjab and captured it. Yes, under this, the advent of Islam, we saw about the Arab conquest of Sindh and its impact. Under that, we saw about the Muhammad of Ghazni, about Somnath temple, and then about Muhammad of Ghori we saw. Now, the last part of this lesson, we are going to see about the Battle of Tarim in 1191 to 1192, 1 year. The Hindus princes of North India formed a confederacy under the command of Prithviraj Chauhan. Prithviraj rose to the occasions and defeated Muhammad in the Battle of Tarain near Delhi in 1191. Prithviraj rejected the proposal and prepared his army to resist the invader. Many Hindu kings and chieftains also joined him. The second battle of Tarain was a major disaster for the Rajputs. The first Muslim kingdom was thus firmly established in India at Ajmer, and a new era in the history of India began. After his victory over Prithviraj at Tarain, Muhammad returned to Ghazni to deal with the threat from the Turks and Mongols. After the death of Muhammad in 1206, his most capable general Qutbuddin Aibak, who had been left behind in India, took control of Muhammad's territories in India and declared himself as the first Sultan of Delhi. Now let's see the summary of this lesson. After Harsha, new regional powers emerged. Prominent ruling dynasties among them were Pratiharas, Palas, Chauhans and Paramaras. Pratiharas and Palas were battling to control the northern plains. Their focus was on capturing the city of Kanauj. The continued conflict over the possessions of Kanauj prompted the local chieftains and kings to declare themselves independent. The Rajputs and Palas made impressive contribution to the evolving Indian culture. The attempt of Arabs to extend were resisted by various rulers. Military raids of Muhammad of Ghazni in the 11th century, followed by expeditions of Muhammad of Ghor, paved the way for the establishment of Islamic rule in India. Okay children, I believe that you all understood this lesson. Little tough only, names are there, you don't worry, we'll make it simple. Now I wanted to give you some of the hard words. Okay children, I will pronounce the hard words, listen and put syllable and learn these words. Emergence, counterparts, commemoration, Pratiharas, Jayastamba, Gandharya, Suryavanshi, Chandravanshi and Agnikula, Vikramashila. Okay children, it's a little hard only. Try to memorize and practice at home, and coming Monday I will be sending you the objective types and some short answers so that you can learn. I think you are thorough with the first lesson, and now we can see the second lesson of the history, objectives and short answers. Thank you children.